Hello and welcome into Limited Time Only, brought to you by Sorare Data. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined once again by Keith Jameson, GatorGuy231. Today, to have very different opinions of what to do during international play. And I haven't told Keith this. Keith is a little surprised at this because we did not talk about this before because I wanted to just drop the hammer on him first.
I'm sitting over here like splashing a few more buys in right before the music ends, only to hear you go, I'm not buying. What? All right.
So
take care of your housekeeping. Take care of your housekeeping before the war begins.
What's the housekeeping? Giving away a free star membership to Sorare Data for a month, or the housekeeping?
Yeah, and I didn't know if you had any more of your spiel that you do.
There's none of that. So yeah, let me do the housekeeping. One, we will give out a free star membership for 1 month to Sorare Data during the show. We'll do the draw sometime later so that, so you guys have to keep watching and all that good stuff. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. And we'll have another contest as well of something that you have to drop in the comments below in order to be entered for next week. Again, you got to stick around for that stuff. The other one was, should I go through quickly what I did last week for my lineups?
I'd love to do both. I made Threshy too. So and a tier 5 for All-Stars. So, we could talk about that.
There we go. Yeah. So I kind of hinted at this last week of what I was going to do. And then I hinted again on Off Topic. And I was like, does anybody want to see my lineups? And like 3 people said yes. But then we got to amazingly, I got to another topic and never shared it. But basically, I ended up with 3 lineups, 2 of which were terrible and dead, and 1 of which was a threshold that had 4 players in it. And so we hit the threshold again, which is always great. So let me just pull it up here because it's easier for me to just...
What did, while you're doing that, you had a little bit of drama with one of your hamburger plays.
Yeah,
did he drop 100? I know he scored. Did he end up dropping 100?
I ended up playing him, I think, in...
Okay, you did get some somewhere.
Here he is, 82.
Okay.
So yeah, but the plan last week was to do a Saint-Etienne stack and a Hamburg stack. 1 for Cap 240 and 1 for Second Division Europe. And I wasn't doing a full stack. Like I wasn't doing 5 players, but it was goalie, defender, and maybe another defender or a midfielder. And so for Cap 240, I ended up putting my plan, let me go back let me start with the Second Division. So I had this lineup of Daniel Hoyer Fernandez, Van der Bremt, Laszlo Benes, who is the midfielder from before. He had missed a game with an illness and then apparently didn't train fully last week. And I got very nervous that he was not going to play. So I took him out and I replaced him with one of 2 Kieran Dewsbury Hall limiteds that I bought because I did what I have done so many times and I've told myself every time not to do it, but I sent out a bunch of offers. I went to sleep and I woke up with 2 Kieran Dewsbury Hall cards. So I put him in here. And then I also had this Firth stack with Julian Green and Branimir Hrgota. And I went Second Division hoping for the best. Benes ended up getting a goal at 82. He would have been here instead of KDH. That's basically a 25, 30-point difference. If you notice, I was 11 points short of a reward, 22 points short of a tier 4. So I would have gotten at least a tier 4. I don't think it would have been a tier 3. But instead, I've got 300 coins out of this lineup. Huh? So then the reason I did the Hamburg stack there is because I played the Saint-Etienne stack here in Cap 240. Got a bailout penalty save to help in the clean sheet to get 90 points from Larsenor. Leo Petro had 61. Pretty good score, but not great. Dylan Shambo was questionable to play. And I was dumb enough to play him. What I should have done, there are a lot of things I should have done, but playing him was a mistake. And then I played Gaetan Perrin here, who Auxerre ended up scoring 4 on Bordeaux, and he had nothing to do with it. But
it's your boy, because you did. Because you decided that you had to be different.
I wasn't being different. I was being cheap. And so that's the case. But obviously Hein with the 87. Shout out to SR Monkey for being the first one, at least I heard, pumping Hein. But for those of you who pay attention to this game, I also had this Rafał Strajic, if that's how you say his name, who's the Bordeaux goalie. I had him last week. He helped me win a reward in second division, and then I sold him, and then he got crushed this game week, which apologies. I'm not apologizing to the person who bought the card, but it made me feel better that I got rid of it and he got blasted. So it makes the decision feel better.
The wild
and then, here's the other Dewsbury Hall. And so, this lineup was at 252 and change and then went down to 250.1. And I was like, oh man. And then we got bumped to 250.6. And then the big mistake I made was in Challenger Europe. I decided to do this Mechelen stack with Kuke and Van Lerberg. They were great. Big Bob Scoofs was not great and probably a bad decision to include him. Berghuis ended up not playing, which was my mistake. Like, that was just dumb on my part. Like, he didn't, I knew he, like, it was known. It was known. We'll put it that way. And then everybody's favorite from last week, Efekan Karaka. Apologies if that's not actually how you say his name. Who we saw this wonderful spike during the show. Everybody got really excited. AAA pick score. He was, what did I buy him for? $2.23. He made it all the way up to $5.94 and $5.92. And he last sold for $1.31. And when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, he just didn't have a good game. 6 AA, whatever. But it's so much worse because he actually missed a penalty. Got a penalty saved, which our guy Germ told us was, well, he didn't necessarily say that was going to happen, but Germ had the opposing goalie, Ken Palat, and he said only one can win this week, and Germ won this week. So, I mean, this is a massive difference. Like, not only is it you go from 35 to 60 with the decisive, but then obviously these 10 points of negative AA come off. Keith, we would have just been printing money. I probably would have gotten, well, I was 100 points short because of the Berghuis DNP, but
it's more the glory of the pick. It's more the glory of the pick that he drops like 80 and we just kept come here and going, see, what do we say?
It was full-fledged process over results here. Like, we had the guy, they got a penalty, he took it. Sometime luck goes to the others. And so, but those were basically the three lineups that I put in. So the three lineups ended with $5 and that's it. And most of the guys are not worth what they were worth before, which you kind of intimated would happen regardless of their performances because of this international break.
Yeah. If you don't have break utility, you're not going to go up in price right now. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Especially in limited, like the desire to wait won't be good. Now, funny thing is, if they have a great matchup coming out of break for not this weekend, but next, watch the pull back up. I'm going to talk way too much about Liechtenstein and Moldova and San Marino, but if you really want to be ahead of the curve, look at next weekend as some of these guys are on a dip and see who's playing, who has Eupen, who's hosting Eupen, who's hosting whatever terrible team. Oh, Mechelen, yeah. It
was. That's why I played them this game week. Which
is fine. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
But, you play that over 7-8 times, there's going to be a 4 or 5 goal game in there probably too. So.
Right. Ryan Walters says the pick scores this past weekend were not great, which I don't think the Karaka result is any indication on the pick score other than it's good.
Right, because he should have makes the PK rather than miss. Binary outcome. Makes it versus miss, and you're at 80 for a guy that was $3.20 before the run-up. So
he said, just reminds you that football is played in real life and not on a spreadsheet. It's why we play. So, like, the pick score is really like it's a matchup. We use matchup indicator, but it's essentially a strength of matchup. And everything worked out. that was supposed to. Like he would have had like almost 20 AA. He had the penalty there. Like he could have scored. Like I legitimately consider that a pick score win, even though obviously the score of 41 on a AAA doesn't look as great.
I'll give an other-sided example too. Not sitting here defending a pick score or defending the computer. I mean, computer went 3-0, right, versus the experts. Just saying. No, but I had never heard of this guy. You knew right when I said it, but I bought Boris Attic.
Yep.
And all he did was drop 79 with 2 assists and a 6-goal game. Only up here was only on my radar because he was near the top on pick score. And was like, hey, this guy looks fun. Oh, he's taking set pieces. Oh, he's at home. Sure. And he's actually gone up in price. But
that's crazy. A 10-goal game. Is it? My God.
It was. I had the notifications on. I'm like, oh, and then like I think the first 2 or 3 weren't Attica. I'm like, oh, don't do this because I bought Bakasetis for the weekend. I wasn't thrilled about the weekend. Funny enough, I had Teddy Tuma on my bench. Oops. But bought Bakasetis because he's coming up on a great fixture this weekend. I'm sure we'll go over. Was figuring, okay, I'll just use him this weekend and use him for the weekend. They scored 5 goals, Andrew. No decisive actions for the former GOAT. Can you? Oh, is Theodore finally pumping?
This was a while ago.
I love this man.
Might have been after the first.
I don't know. I don't know if this stream knows my love of Theodore, but and thank you, by the way, Laird. There's a beautiful Theodore Tuma Sorares in my gallery that Laird messaged me one night, and he's like, "Surely you're not going to not buy a Teddy Sorare?" And I'm like, "Well, he's gonna get transferred. The price is gonna tank." And you're just like, "I don't want to hear it." If you're going to be one of his number 1 fans, you have to own it.
Yeah,
I do. And now, hell, the values are probably close to what I bought it at now.
It looks like a win. Yeah,
looks like I was giving you in a row.
Looks like I gave you a flipping tip instead. Yeah. So, speaking of the international stuff, we touched on it a little bit last week, and the 2 kind of points that I want to bring in here as we start talking about it is 1, I think we totally messed up. And 2, part of that is my complete underestimation of FOMO. And we were talking about it last night because I was like, oh, I have a decent lineup. I really need like a midfielder. And I was you were like, how about this guy? And I was like, oh, I looked at him. How about this guy? I mean, we have seen literally like 50% jumps in card prices, if not higher, on guys who happen to just have good matchups this week. And I did so the reason I ended up not doing it is I was just too late. Like I could not justify spending twice for certain guys that they cost a week ago, knowing that the utility is for the next 1 or 2 game weeks or one of the next 2 and I couldn't do it. But just looking at some of the price charts, Keith, we blew it.
There's such good opportunity.
And I think what that goes into, because obviously we know that there's going to be an October international break. At what point is it worth buying those cards to flip? Because I think that obviously there is some risk in buying guys like a month ahead of time. Like maybe they get injured, they don't get called, whatever it is. But man, we blew it. We really blew it.
I mean, you blew it a lot more than me. I
definitely blew it. You're right.
Yeah, I have a healthy amount to play. I wasn't doing it to flip, so to speak. I was just going, hey, I want these guys, and I bought them going into so I think that's the answer, by the way, is you can do it into the final game week before break.
Yeah.
So you might have a little bit of risk. How you probably could can you pull up Bakasetis price graph?
Honestly,
you look at it during game? No.
I think you could have done it Friday, this past Friday for this midweek. Like you don't even need more than that.
Yeah, no. What I'm actually wondering, could you actually make it through the guy playing his game, make sure he doesn't come off injured and miss it? So like Baca said, is he has a midweek game, and then he also has the God matchup. Oh, his price hasn't gone up that much.
Yeah, he's actually a terrible example.
Yeah.
The one that
It's not bad at all.
really makes the most sense.
I mean, until this show's over. Now Baca says. Yeah, visual.
So
Not even that bad either, dude.
no, I mean, you're going from a low of this is in the past week, a low of $7.67.
Okay, so I guess it is
15.
double.
Like the price has doubled.
And I'll be honest too, visual. I bought a limited and a rare, and almost a super rare. The only sorry, I was bored at Starbucks waiting for a client on Friday, but he's actually mismarked. He's a midfielder that plays center back, and that actually just pushed me down a little bit on that play, just because you don't get the higher heights, you don't get that clean sheet bonus. You get more penalized for certain things.
So the only reason why I'm willing to push back on that specifically for this game week is we were talking about how few midfielders there were, reasonable ones, and this is just one that happens to play. And his scores
are San Marino. I mean,
they're playing San Marino.
He plays Northern Ireland at home, so he had midweek utility, and then he plays San Marino away. Which, look, I am Mr. Home Field Advantage guy. Does not matter when you play San Marino where you play them.
Right. No, totally. So the other one that I was talking to you about was Filip Kostic, who had stopped playing for
I couldn't believe you brought him up.
Yeah, so Juve, basically he looked like he was going to transfer.
Right.
And so that's why he didn't play the first two games, and then he didn't transfer, and then bangs out a 26 AA in a 2-0 win away to Empoli, and he plays for Serbia. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll look at this. And like fundamentally, I was just too late. Like he was $8.67 2 days ago, and then finally sold for $16.20. Like this is, and these are all today, right? Like, all today.
And honestly, those guys that did first thing this morning during their coffee break are like, okay, did okay.
I did okay, yeah.
Come to me. So here's a question. So I think I'm going to derail us a little bit, but not really. So our boy, and he's in the chat, Tuggy, he gave me permission to bring this up as an example. And I'll use it on Kostic too, like just what you said, the $7 to $15. I think it's okay for us to say $8 difference, 7 to 15 is not make or breaking a lot of us, right? We're probably going to be able to sleep tonight, pay our mortgages, all that stuff. But when you're playing this game and you're bankrolling, at what point does the money aspect matter? Does the fact that you're paying 15 when a couple of days ago it's 8? I bring that up because Tuggy, I'll just go full circle. Tuggy bought a few guys that are going to tank after this midweek. Now, funny enough, they might get a run up here, and Tuggy might look like a genius if he sells them. Tuggy's not going to. I love him so much, but he is not going to sell. That dude is playing this weekend, but he bought a Sihic, I believe, the goalkeeper from Bosnia, who's a great matchup but isn't covered. He bought Tismikas from Liverpool, who has a great matchup but doesn't play. And I think there's one more. Whoa, Tuggy. Now, Tismikas, I'll give him a little. He's like, he might get Europa utility, which could happen. Could. So my whole thing becomes, and when I asked Tuggy, I'm like, dude, why are you doing this? And he's like, well, it's only $5. I think Tismikas was only $5 and Sihic was only like $8. Small price points for the guys and things like that. But, I think that's a separate Tuggy play there completely. It may or may not be. Tuggy, you can put the Alte. I think you said it's about some other sort of competition you're going to hold him for. But it's more of the Sihic and Tismikas. At what point is it that you just a small amount of money for these guys that just have international utility, right? Because I don't think ultimately Sihic, you have to rely on the international duty. You're not getting anything else. And Tismikas, you could argue he gets Europa. I think that makes sense, but there's no guarantees. on that either. Klopp hasn't come out and said, oh, by the way, I'm going to be playing my backups in Europa. So you're kind of projecting that ahead. What say you, Laird? I don't know if I did the question that well.
So I think ultimately the consideration comes down to whether you want to buy players that have no utility after the break. And it doesn't, obviously these guys are cheaper because they don't have regular utility. So I will give the point, like I understand that point. Mm-hmm. But, and like Tuggy was saying here, that Sahic has good matchups the next window, which I think is something we need to talk about. What does he have?
Another
Liechtenstein and in Portugal, which actually doesn't seem
so good.
Yeah, Liechtenstein away is probably fine, but Portugal at home you're not going to be excited about. But the issue is right now, is it too far ahead to consider these guys? Like, do you think that in 3 weeks, Sahic is actually $5? Because the short-term utility goes, the people who bought in this run-up are like, oh, I don't really need this card, and they just trash it. So
they bought it out. They bought it out for 50%.
Right. So like, what's the rush to fill your October lineups in the first week of September?
And that's more where I was going. I think you're on the side of me. Tuggy's comment was, all right, if he's $6 or $7 and he goes down to $4, but I got use out of him, it's only $3. Like I get that. But I also think if you're like managing the game, managing your return type of thing, that you go, that's close to 50% loss.
Yeah, I think the dollar amount doesn't matter to me. Correct. In terms of
and what we're doing and what I think a lot of people are doing.
Well, it's more it's only $8. I think more people on the platform, $8 matters. And so to use the whole, like, Tuggy's in a situation where the $8 doesn't matter as much. So, but that's not really who we are trying to talk to. And so the idea is, does that $8 go farther with other players? And the answer, I think, is unquestionably yes.
Yeah.
If you don't want to have that card be worth $4 later. And that it's not like there are tons of these cards available that are $8 now and will be $8 in 3 weeks when international's over. I get that. But it does just feel like a bit of a misappropriation when something that we talked about, rewards aren't that great now. Like there are not as many rewards given away during international than we have during club play. And somebody mentioned earlier that I want to give them credit for it at least. But now it's too far away, so I'll take the credit. The change to this month-long All-Star has put more of a focus on international play. Like, the people who want to compete in those are going to buy these cards. But again, the game week to game week rewards probably aren't good enough to justify these purchases if you're only doing it for international play, or a card that I wanted to talk about that you bought.
Yeah,
international play.
I was thinking, not
and
cheap
maybe
either.
Asian Champions League.
Not cheap either.
And not cheap, yeah.
He's gone up though.
I believe that he has, because of the international. Like, I think people are thinking, just like you, hey, wait a minute. Isn't Neymar a really good play because he's got Asian Champions League, having not played for them at all?
Aren't Brazil like one of the top favorites of the whole week?
They are.
Oh, don't they have this guy? So, yeah, I mean, here's the funniest thing, Laird, is technically if I wanted to just do this for maximization of return, I probably should sell them this weekend.
I think, does that one
I'm not going to. That's no fun.
You're not going to sell them this weekend?
No. I'm having too much fun.
So,
I mean, that's a good return.
So Tuggy said is even playing for Brazil now. So I saw this great tweet that he's finally arrived to like the Brazil camp. And somebody mentioned that he's worked harder getting to the Brazil camp than he has for whoever he plays for now. Al Hilal. So to actually pull away a little bit, Maxime recently sold a Neymar. And I was like, why would you do that? He's got all this utility coming up. And he's like, you really think he's going to play these matches, like all of these matches? And it's a decent point. I do think he will play.
He cares for Brazil.
Exactly. So like home against Bolivia is the matchup that he has this weekend. And then away to Peru is probably fine anyway.
And there's some vanity with a guy like Neymar too, I think. And this is his chance to kind of be known again. I don't know. I don't care what's going on in Saudi Arabia. I know Ronaldo and all these guys think that I want to make, I'm going to say like a royal me, right? Me or you or anybody, American audiences care. I don't. So, Neymar can score 4 goals there and it doesn't matter. But all of a sudden playing at home, national team, what is it? South American qualifiers or World Cup qualifiers? One of the two. Those games matter. So, and those games will be nationally televised, all that good stuff. So,
yeah,
Tuggy's
like, I doubt they need him versus Bolivia.
It doesn't matter. That's not how this works.
Right.
They don't rotate guys that come in for 2 days, fly them 3,000 miles across the ocean to go, hey, by the way, you can rest.
3,000. I think he would love it if it was only 3,000.
I have no idea how far that is.
I was going to say this is when we moved to the Google Maps segment.
That's only for Pedro Galese, right? Like, oh, he's got to go 7,200 miles in the next 18 hours. He can't make it.
Is that where it was?
It was Pedro Galese was the famous one that you guys were all trying to figure out.
No, he's not in Qatar. Where is Al Hilal FC? Let's see.
Bonus points if you can find.
Oh yeah, Riyadh. I knew that. All right, Riyadh or I assume they're at home, aren't they? Let's see.
I don't know where Brazil.
Let's do it to Rio. How far are we here? I don't want to fly. I guess I have to fly. All right, so it's an 18-hour flight, which is much more than 6. My God, much more than 3,000 miles. Excuse me. Anyway, what I want to do is
he's flying coach.
Yeah, he's probably taking that 747 they gave him. But anyway, Johanneton said, I bought 2 Sehich cards for €350, sold them for 7. Internationals are fun to trade in. So I want to give a shout out to Johanneton because they've created what I think is one of the greatest watch lists on Sorare data ever created. But it basically is all of the Euro international guys who have,
love that.
Although, is this the updated one? Johanneton, if this is not the updated one, because I see Fofana here, who's obviously not the latest one. But like, I feel like if you just looked at all of the international guys, there's going to be some sort of recent spike only because of the utility that's coming right now. Rikuman said Dennis Bouanga was so Bouanga
that was this year, but he's the one that he showed up like an hour before the game, came off the bench, and then
scored.
He played like the day before in Gabon. But yeah, Pedro Galese there was some of Laird and a couple others that were all trying to figure out this one break if Galese was going to play, and it was down there, and they were like, oh, 18 hours to make the flight? Surely he can, or he couldn't. I don't remember.
I know exactly.
Got wrong.
I remember exactly what it was. It was the Peru's World Cup qualifier in Qatar. It was like the third place. It was like the against Australia or New Zealand. One of those, it was like the last spot in the World Cup, and he was there. And then, ended up flying all the way back to Orlando and making the match. And it was. Just
I think you guys all benched him thinking there was like no chance that he could make it back or play. And I think MCG played Stunjar. I don't know. Anyhow,
whoever it is,
the fun that's so rare have with maps.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry.
No, please.
I was just going to say what Johanneton brought up there in that graph. He said was old, and that's why we didn't see the spike. But I will say this in this before I derailed us in the Tuggy talk, this is exactly what you could use. This is an unbelievable time to trade, because I think the one thing that maybe you didn't add in is the scarcity of players and players that are in good spots that are locked into positions. Because even the guys that you think might be locked, all of a sudden you start scrolling through the game logs and you're like, he's in one game, he's out the other. Crap. I'm not buying him. It's a great matchup, but feels like he's 60% to start because the other left back is a great left back too, right? So there's only like this core group on a lot of these teams, 5-6 guys. Some of the smaller countries a lot better, but like a team like France, Mbappe, Griezmann, Magic Mike, all of a sudden you start, I don't know their team that well, but you start going, you're like, those center backs aren't locked. Theo Hernandez might be locked on the left, but now his brother's back. His brother started before it. You just start going down this pipe, and these players are all really good, and they all want to make them happy. So I think that's what, if you're trading this right now and you have enough time to, you can really make a killing, because if you can get these guys that are locked in, you get like your Bakasetas. You know, when he goes to Greece, he gets everything. He gets penalties. He gets all the set pieces. He's just an absolute legend for them, and has an incredibly soft matchup. You know, I know Skazmo was on the. I don't even know what my guy's name is. What's my mismatch midfielder's name? Bijol. You know, he's locked in. He plays center back for them. It's a very small country that doesn't, or a very small player pool. I don't know how big their country is, but he plays for them. He doesn't do half bad.
These are all his defenders.
Skazmo, by the way, shout out to Skazmo, legend. Go to the super rares. Dude buys a super rare just for this midweek. Skazmo, I came this close. I was like between like 0.025 ETH with another guy, and he canceled the offer. I was about to accept it. I think he realized the utility. Probably was like, why the hell are people making offers for this card all of a sudden? Because he plays, I think, bottom Serie A team or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's the element of why these price pumps go, is because just the pure scarcity. Here's a fun one. Go to Christian Eriksen.
Oh, so I was talking to Skazmo yesterday, and I literally was like, why did you not just make sure that I bought a Xhaka Bijol last week when you bought him? And he was like, oh yeah, sorry. And he's like, why don't you just go get Eriksen? And I was like, oh, okay. Let's see what the Christian Eriksen price chart looks like. And this is you've never seen FOMO before. Here is your Christian Eriksen chart that a week ago he's $10 and now he's $30.
I mean, that actually coincided with him. Can you do the week though? Because that'll be better. Because he did all of a sudden get utility when Mount got injured, so his price went up a little bit. But I mean, yeah, it went from 20 to 30. Still pretty awesome. Yeah, that's what Tobias was saying, because he got utility because Mount was going to be out, so he's going to start. And he's got San Marino at home. Literally, somebody asked when I showed their lineup. I'm fortunate enough to be sitting on a Eriksen that I bought for 5 times higher than what he is now still, and he's useless in my gallery, except for this week. And I showed somebody my lineup, they're like, why do you have Eriksen captain? Because he wasn't a AAA pick score. I think because of just not being in form and all that stuff. And I'm like, playing San Marino at home. I don't think they knew the San Marino story. I'm like, they're like, is he a big favorite? I'm like, they stopped with the zeros. They stopped at minus 10,000.
Yeah, it's like just an infinite.
I think he's 99%. The little percentage odds on Sorare data, I think it said 98% or 99%. I've never seen that before.
He's never seen it so high. Let's see. I mean, surely he's got to be like one of the best.
It doesn't rate him that high. I'm guessing just because of the form, and maybe people didn't project him in.
Yeah, 99% to win.
There you go. I've never seen that.
Well, so looking at this pick score, like his form.
That's what I was saying.
His extremely recent form is good, but like this is not good.
Right.
For those
Well,
of you
he was a C to start the week, but we talk about how pick scores kind of evolve.
right.
If you looked at him right away, he was like a C. But if you pay attention,
And Tobias brings this up. Eriksen is like one of 3
Yep.
players that are nailed for Denmark, which is true. Like Denmark really doesn't.
and he
like
takes
that.
every set piece.
Right.
The role for him too is he is their alpha. Like he's the Denmark Neymar.
Yeah.
For lack of a better.
And Johanneton was saying, check out the Ennis Barty price
I didn't think
spikes
about
every
that
break. And yeah, there he is for Macedonia.
Yep, because he takes some set pieces for them, and everyone's. Do they have soft fixtures? Malta. Oh,
that's next midweek.
Be careful, Teddy's coming for him.
Teddy at home. Teddy at home against Macedonia.
Hey, I told you I went down we talked a little bit about the month long. I went down a complete rabbit hole of I'm gonna flip and try to win one of these things, these month longs. I just think it's fun, and I got Teddy plugged in a few for that game. I think it's in the midweek too, and there's not as many options. But again, Teddy does everything for them. It's a really bad team. Like I think I watched for a DFS reasons. I think I watched Malta versus San Marino. It was like a 7:30 game. HG comes on here and makes fun of MLS. There's a whole nother level.
Tazos reminding us that it's North Macedonia, not just Macedonia. So apologies for that. What do you think the chances are that we get to the month-long competition, the end of the month-long competition, and 0 of the top 4 scores are from international play?
Not high. Let me scale that back. Limited 0 chance.
0 chance that
it's one of the scores is not from.
Okay, so there will be one, at least one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking, but I think like super rare and unique, decent chance of it because getting all those players to align and having all those. But like, I didn't have a limited team for this midweek, but I showed you my rare lineup, and that was just guys out of my gallery. It's stupid. Like that score is going to be so high for this midweek. I have, I don't know how to say. I call it Herdaki. I know that's not spelled right. The Finland goalkeeper.
Herdaki?
Herdashi, I think. But I have Otamendi rare as a defender. Argentina's minus like 700 at home. They're one of the biggest favorites. Eriksen. Have Griezmann, who's a huge favorite at home. And I have Tadic, who's a huge favorite at home. So here a deck.
It's so like almost phonetic.
I thought the K was silent or something. But
if it is, then it's a hard C anyway.
But I'm saying those lineups and those odds are going to promote a huge score. So then you have your Mbappe's out there, and as limited, you get more and more of these stacked teams. And then this weekend, we got midweek San Marino, we've got Liechtenstein, who's absolutely god awful. That's one of the teams to target. San Marino's absolutely god awful. Those are the 2 that came off my head right away that just absolutely get destroyed. So those teams are just going to drop a ton. And as we saw with Tuggy, limited allows you to buy more comfortably a guy just for a matchup. For the people that go, I'm really close. Sismikas is minus 5,000, plays really well for Greece. I'll spend $7. I can always send him to a trader for $3.50 when it's all said and done, and I only lost $3.50. But hey, if I think that this is my only gap the entire month, the rest of the month my teams are absolutely stacked, that probably makes sense.
Yeah, but I feel
That's
like
my thoughts on it.
I feel like if you can make the argument that if your teams are stacked the rest of the month, then the internationals actually don't matter.
Yeah, but that doesn't work because this weekend I saw, God, who was the one? Lairdinho. I've talked to him a few times. Did you see this? Did you see the pain? Oh, can you get up his game week? It's rare, so apologies on LTO, but I've never seen a more painful lineup. And this is why you have to pay attention every single week. You guys will see it, but there was a very, very bad, painful postponed game.
Was that Atletico Sevilla, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at that lineup. It's literally almost perfect.
That sucks.
It's so bad. But like, so I'm saying that even though your rest of your month is stacked and you're like looking, you're like, this is great. Sometimes players sit, guy might get injured, game might get postponed. You still need to bake in these really good scores when you can get them. I think that's the one, the hardest part of the month along is if you rely on 4, you're going to have a letdown.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
So I mean, I think that I've been trying to do 5 or 6.
Hradetsky.
All right, so the K is not silent.
The K is, yeah, the K is not. No.
But yeah, so what are do you think the month long? Are you trying to defend your turf of internationals don't matter?
It's not so much that internationals don't matter. Like, I think they matter, but I think for most people, they're going to make purchasing decisions based off of these internationals that's actually more detrimental to their galleries than they think it's worth. And
yep, agree there.
It's one of those, yeah. Surface also brings this up. All these strategies for the month long are just speculation until we know more about what a viable fourth and lowest score is, which, to be honest, I actually don't think we'll ever have enough month-long competitions for it. Like some months it'll be 350, others it'll be 400. Like I
mean, you just have to play with it. I mean, everybody's playing the same game week and the same amount of games. You just got to put yourself in the best position you possibly can to score and try to blow it out.
The hardest thing that comes with limiteds is that all of the best cards are getting played in the same competition.
Yep.
I mean, obviously you can play Mbappe in Champion Europe as opposed to All-Star, but we do see the rares distributed more because of being able to play them in Rare and Rare Pro, where we don't get that in like the limited scores will be absurd certainly to win the whole thing. I mean, they'll all be absurd to win it.
And this weekend will be insanity too. Like we're gonna have 500s.
Oh, sure.
They'll be.
I didn't even see what they were this past weekend.
I mean, Kimmich dropped 100 or whatever, and Mbappe came close, and Trent did. So like, all your alphas dropping big scores is gonna make some ridiculous scores.
Yeah, like the first week, 530 won it, and there were, my God, 10 over 500.
Wow, Liverpool stacks there. Remember all the jokes about Liverpool stacks not being so good?
I mean, we got here. This one's fine. 2 MLS guys here.
Messi.
Kai Wagner and Leo Messi. Matchlow brings up the Kane shitting the bed helped a bit. Yeah, that's fair.
But that's why every week matters though too, because Kimmich drops. I think it was 100 or really close to 100, and Kane dropped 26.
Yep.
And so most people that own a Kane and a Kimmich played them together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ryan said I was over 420 on Bundesliga amateur and finished 900. Those are tough.
Yeah.
Do we have those there? Oh, there we go.
But I do think, though, to your point, as we go up, super rare or unique, maybe not, they show up in midweek because, you're not buying a unique just for an international break. Or I wouldn't think you are.
Yeah. So when do you think we start looking at the October international break?
I'm sure there's some that are looking now, but I'm very much of the belief that I want to hedge lots of different risks. I think we have to realistically, you got to hedge new cards being released between now and then. That if you buy one of these old ones, that, the old ones we see in limited, what would you say, 10% minimum?
Oh yeah. It's
not more.
So I'm glad you brought that up actually, because I was looking at some of the cards that I bought for the past 2 weekends, and some of them have like tanked. And I was like, man, why have they dropped that much? And it was actually the floor has dropped. And then I look and it's like, oh, the new cards came. And I think certainly with limits, because it's not like they're doing 2 a day. Like they're doing a ton of them. And people really don't want older cards. And I realized that actually when I sold my previous limiteds, and they were like, you have a lot of old limiteds. And I was like, yeah, but they're on like level 18. And they're like, yeah, but they're old. And like, that was it. And I was like, you're right. And people really don't want the older cards.
Yep.
And the newer cards, I mean, the 3D card announcement came out today and showed some of the Champion Europe cards that they haven't released yet, but we know they're coming. And so if you are buying Christian Eriksen limited cards from this past season, like there's going to be another one soon. There are going to be a ton more soon.
Probably before the next break too. So,
right.
I mean, to me, that's one thing because you already have to combat potentially 10, 15, 20%. You've got a guy like Eriksen, you got injury risk. He gets hurt a lot. And then, just I think there's always just a reality for me. God, was it one of your shows or was it John with the Sorare down under guy? Shout out to that show, by the way.
That was great.
Those guys were awesome. But they just mentioned, why don't you buy I think it was John's, but why aren't we all just buying up injured guys?
Oh yeah.
Exactly I brought that up here before too, but if you could guarantee that the market's the exact same right now that it is in a year, just overall so rare, then that's fine. You could do all that and you could print money. But, you and I have been here long enough. We've seen way up here and my Christian Eriksen I bought before the World Cup, the risk of international breaks. I bought Christian Eriksen before the World Cup as part of my World Cup team because I had FOMO that I was going to go a month without playing so rare, and that was not going to happen. Paid rare is the only thing of an ETH, but I paid like 0.58 ETH for that Christian Eriksen. So that's a lot of like right now. That's getting you some really good players on the platform. That card's still sitting in my gallery. I finally get to use it this week, but that was an okay price at the time, and now it looks like a complete and utter disaster. I mean, I paid. Just to give like international, I wasn't playing limited at the time, so apologies for this and being rear talk. But I still remember this, Laird. 0.58 for Eriksen. I bought 2 Griezmanns. I sold one, but they were both like 0.6 ETH.
Yeah.
Livakovic, I bought for that. That was like over 1. Otamendi was over 0.5. And I'm sitting here like, okay, it's fine. I'm going to win a lot of words. I didn't win jack. That was a bad decision. I got off of most, but Otamendi's been fine in my gallery, and Eriksen's been a disaster, especially when he got replaced and then he got hurt right afterwards. So I think one thing within that example too is try to buy guys that have utility that you can keep using too. Like that's one big thing that I've been trying to do with these buys, exception of Neymar, but like a Bakasetas does great in Turkey. So I don't really say Bijol, but he's cheap enough.
He's fine.
He's okay. He plays.
He's a capped guy. That's what I told you. I'll just play him cap. So the guy that like popped into my head as soon as when Nellis brought that up in his show, and he was like, just buy a bunch of injured players and sell them. And the whole thing was, we don't really know what the market will be like. So if you have a player who is one of the most expensive in the game, he gets injured. When he comes back, he might still be one of the most expensive players. Like his price will run up when he comes back. But being the most expensive player in the game in 8 months might be a completely different price. And the guy that popped it right into my head was Florian Wirtz. And Wirtz was one of the more expensive U23 players. He got hurt in March of 2022, which is like around here. This is basically the drop. And if you'll notice, he has been back. He's been great, and he's about the same price as he was at the bottom of this injury drop. And obviously he went lower during the injury, but theoretically, if you bought him on the way down at $275, down from, when he was 330, he got as high as 600 and change. You're not getting back there. And so it's a tremendous risk that you don't, that So Rare is just very different when you come back. And
that's a good one. Militao, great one.
Yeah.
Courtois.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of these guys that are injured right now. That's why, again, in a completely, I guess I'll call it pegged world, but that we don't have anything other than what these guys are worth. That Eder Militao is a $100 player when he plays. Then, of course, you can make some money off of this stuff. But there's just too much risk. And so that's why I'm not buying for October. I'll buy the weekend of it. Maybe see. I really like the strategy that I kind of did for this past one, which is, hey, I want to see if I could get a guy that not only has a good matchup for this weekend that I can utilize right away and get some immediate utility, but that I can also then look ahead in a week. He has a great international fixture, or he has international utility because now I'm going to be able to get off the card.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. I realize that we've gone now 51 minutes. Thank you for joining. If you guys could please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We haven't done our giveaway yet.
Yeah,
our contest.
I've got the good question for you.
So let me run this contest from last week, or from find a winner from our contest last week. The one that we had last week was the best play for the international break. There were some very good responses here, so I'm just going to run it right here, and the winner is. Absolutely. It's the perfect winner here. That
you got nothing.
But Lewandowski was the call. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, Poland plays some minnow this week.
Yeah, I hope whoever won is watching and not listening, because I really have absolutely no idea.
Hey, where's chat coming? They're easy.
Let's see. It's IS Dimitrov, Ivan. Yeah.
I was going to say the chat's ready to help me. Oh, there we go. Thank you, J-Vic. I was thinking everybody was fixing my pronunciation of Hardowski, but nobody wants to come forward on this one.
Yeah, no help on this one, guys. Thanks. Anyway, congratulations to what do we say, Ivan? Yeah, Ivan.
This
Dimitrov.
guy, great pick. Lewandowski is a great pick.
Lewandowski is a very good pick. Keith, what is the question for this week?
How about?
Oh, I thought you said you had one.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, you do. That was just you were building up. Sorry.
Building the anticipation. The winning score for All-Star Limited this weekend.
So that would be for game week one. What was that, 405 or 407?
405. Yeah, 405, because we'll be 405. We'll know that. We'll know it by then. Yeah.
All right. To enter, I'm trying to think of
just
whether
people will be able to number down. Put a number down. Yeah.
To enter for a free 1-month star membership to Sorare Data, comment in the video below, not in the live chat. Comment in the video below, and if you're listening anywhere that is not YouTube, go over to YouTube and enter. But yes, just drop what you think the winning score for All-Star Limited will be for game week 405.
Do you think we can get over 550?
No, I don't think we get to 550.
I don't think so, because last week was like 540.
Yeah, it was a lot. Pascal's saying 545, but Pascal, your guess here does not count.
Does not count.
To comment in the video below.
And like it while you're there.
Yes, absolutely like it. We don't make you like and subscribe. We hope it's a trust thing. I'm hoping that you guys just do it. But yeah, do that. So anyway.
So here, as we're winding down, Laird, when is your FOMO going to start for this weekend?
So let's do what everybody should be doing.
And I can give some picks too. But let's do yours and then we'll get some picks. Yeah.
Let's take a quick look at some pick scores to see who jumps off the page. And we do have some are there MLS matches this weekend?
I think right now, if you're buying, I pretty much, if I'm just buying for this weekend, do not play the MLS guys.
Yeah, I can't fathom a situation where the MLS guys end up being the.
Well, not only is it falling knife in terms of just where we're at in the season, and you're getting limited utility, but just dig a little bit, get some lopsided matchup. There's a few that I'm going to bring up that not only have great matchups, but they're going to give you utility moving forward too. So if you get stuck on the card, at least you can use it.
Matchload does bring up that this weekend is the much anticipated Emmanuel Reynoso against Carlos Gil matchup.
I've got them both in plenty of lineups.
Yeah, champion America, so you don't have to mess around with the internationals. And Ryan Walter said they just bought Johnny Russell, and so we should mention him. He's apparently a double A.
I have a complicated relationship with
$4.91.
I mean, that's a fantastic price. But
they're away though. Sorry.
If we talk about if you want, yeah, but it's versus Miami, right?
Yeah.
And they literally, I think, are going to dress like 12 people. They're having to call up half their academy.
Yeah, Jonathan said I'm playing a Sporting Kansas City stack against the messy-less
It's
Miami.
not even, but the thing with that is, it's not that it's messy-less.
It's like everybody.
Calendar. There's no like Joseph. Both of the center backs. I think Kamal Miller's staying, but the other guy is gone. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Keith, I think we learned that Inter Miami without Messi. I mean, we know this. They're literally the worst team in the league.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. But yeah,
so
I mean, that's a fair call. Who am I going with?
Who jumped out at you?
Yeah, I mean, so if you can get any of the Slovenia guys, they are away to San Marino. I think there's only 2, if I recall, that are covered. We have talked way too much about Bijol, but he is there. He's a midfielder, though, so he's a midfielder that plays center back. So just know that, because I realized after I bought that he was a midfielder, and I went to defender to try to plug him in. I'm like, why is he not fitting here?
I'm going to guess that his pick score may go up to AAA when they get up to the 90% win percentage, when we get the odds in.
We're not talking about gold, Rico. We're not talking about that. Okay.
To be honest,
you got to peak
the gold. Yeah, the decisive been there, but like his scores,
his AA is way down. But anyhow,
no, we're not. We are doing this.
We're not. Yeah. We are.
Yeah, he's just running. It's a run good. It happened at the beginning of the season, didn't it? Yeah.
I mean, sometimes he is just awesome though too. So
yes.
And it still counts, like Tuggy said. All right, I'm gonna give you a really cheap name that maybe he's only cheap for a couple minutes. But same team, Slovenia, Peter Stojakovic. I'll get you how to spell his name. Stojanovic, Stojanovic. And low, he does play. He's already gone up a lot. He's still cheap though. He does play. He's great for cap modes. He's gonna outperform 34.
Do you consider a $2 card selling for $6 cheap?
No, not anymore. No. I mean, it's overpriced. He's going to go back to $2. But if he's your last piece in and your lineup is amazing, he's there. So I think those are gone. Let me give you a few more. Where we go. I've mentioned Bakasetas. Anybody on Greece is an awesome matchup if you can pick any of them. He's only gone up a few bucks from where I bought him, and he absolutely go pull up his Greece. If you guys don't know how to do this, F5 scores, Laird's going to show you, and then go to all teams and go to the national team they play on. And he absolutely demolishes for Greece. And they're like in a lower
121 starts is wild.
It's amazing. And I mean, yeah. So
they have the Netherlands this midweek, and then Gibraltar.
Yep, not that great. Then Gibraltar.
Okay.
So, Tismikas is there. I told you I didn't realize the other center back that was at AS transferred to Syria has, I don't know how to say his name, but he's only like $5 or $6 because the transfer away from AS was bad. But yeah, I'm going to go show up there at defender.
From Slovenia takes set pieces for Alanyaspor when he starts.
Oh, there you go. So that's good. He's an F. Probably means he hasn't gotten pumped yet. Oh,
no, you're totally wrong on the pump. He also
see, those are the ones that I'm a little careful of though, because you're never going to use that guy week to week because you're never going to know when he starts.
Good for Cap.
I mean, I get it, but just a few more. Last team I was going to mention, Bosnia. I got some before I came on. I am not pumping these guys to sell them. I'm planning to use them. But they are at home versus, oh, God, I already forgot. I think it's Liechtenstein.
They play Cyprus, yeah. Sorry, Tug, you dropped Scott McTominay as if anybody actually wants him, but yeah, they're away to Cyprus, I guess.
But yeah, you can do the defenders. I just bought 2 of the defenders. I bought Dedic and Kolasinac.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dedic is the 4th highest ranked guy.
Yep, I just went on Pick Score, but it's a great matchup. And then he also plays for a dominant team when he comes back out. So he hasn't gotten fully pumped yet. He plays for Red Bull Salzburg, so you're going to get plenty of good utility for him after break too. If you feel like you get stuck on him or you don't want to take a loss, he does plenty good for Salzburg. So that's the type of guy I really like. Is that if I feel stuck on him, like if the price drops, it goes okay. Well, he's still going to get some phenomenal matchups. Kolasinac plays for Atalanta now. He's a lot cheaper. On the other side, he always starts for Bosnia. Those type of guys. To me, it makes
$10.
It's not like he's going to, but again, you have to evaluate the matchup. They're going to be minus 2,000 or 3,000. He's going to probably be up there in that final third passing is going to be pretty ridiculous. So, that type of guy or those type of players or profiles I like a lot for this type of thing.
There we have Brazil as
there you go, number 2,
3% favorite.
That's crazy. Where's our boys playing San Marino? Where's Slovenia? It might not have a line.
You might not have them yet. Yeah.
Don't have a line. That's the only thing when you go to that game week.
Yeah, they don't have them yet.
Sometimes don't get a line, so you miss.
Well, yeah, it's just not yet. Like we don't have all of them yet.
Laird, does it work? I haven't actually tried it. Does it work? Can you sort by midfield? Can you go that midfield matchup predictors, and can you sort by?
Yes.
So maybe that's a way that.
But for international stuff, it's real. Like it obviously gets real wonky.
But now all of a sudden you have Slovenia showing up there too.
Sure.
So I mean, just a way to parcel out.
Yeah.
That's all I got for picks. That's all I got.
Yeah. I hate international play. I'm not gonna lie.
I
hate Sorare during international play. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
FOMO in, give yourself something to watch, and then come back here next week and complain about how you knew you shouldn't have bought these guys. They're all 50% of their value. I only want a tier 5. I can already list all the excuses.
It's like peak degen. Literally peak degen of like, this guy, I'm going to buy this guy because he has 1.5 good matchups in the next year, but it's right now. So I'm going to do it.
Hold on. Here's the true statement of being a degen, though. Okay. You admit all that. And you're like, no, I'm not doing it. And then you go the next layer, though, and you explain why it makes sense. Well, if Andrew Robertson goes down, he's the starting left back for one of the best teams in Europe, and he's probably going to get Europa utility. Tuggy, I'm sorry. I wasn't meaning to.
I think ultimately, honestly, I think that not enough people realize, and maybe the draw of performing well in the month-long competition kind of saves you from this. But the number of rewards that are given out during international breaks is so much lower, and the scores are so much higher that it's really hard to just be like, oh yeah, this guy plays, so let me go buy it. Like it's not enough.
It's fine for cap. I mean, if you can get a buck guy, last player to get in your cap,
right, to do a threshold team, sure.
Then you work. The only other comment I was going to make on Pure Degen. Pure Degen is not today, Laird. Pure Degen is you on Thursday night and the DMs going, so I just bought blank.
Yeah.
That is the Pure Degen. I can't wait for it.
Keith, you and I both know it's Friday morning.
Thursday night, the wheels are going, though. Thursday is like, I'm not actually going to do it. I'm just going to go to bed. And Friday morning is like, who are we buying?
I'm not going to do it. I'm not. I mean, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'll put it that way.
It's already scaling back. It's already going.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us. I have to get off this stream before Keith convinced me to just go all in on this weekend. So thank you everyone for joining us. If you could please like and subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. What did we say? Oh, to enter into our competition for a free 1-month star membership to Sorare Data, just leave a comment below with what you believe will be the winning score of All-Star Limited for game week 405. Keith, do you think we're willing to go closest regardless of whether you go over under, or do we have to say you cannot go over as a tribute to the recently fallen Bob Barker?
Do that. That's fun. We could get an extra, makes you do an extra draw or two.
All right. So you cannot go over. Cannot go over. If you're over, you are out. There was also a comment earlier that I wanted to address. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Haber because he had to start from the beginning. And I'm just going to see if he ended up watching or listening to all 65 minutes. So Haber, here's your shout out. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Tomorrow, Sorare Andrews, because Thursday, it's a big announcement from Sorare Data. It will be at, let's see, 6 o'clock Central. I think it's Central European time, if what CET stands for. We'll find out. 5 p.m. in the UK and 1 o'clock Eastern, excuse me, noon Eastern on Thursday. Big announcement from Sorare Data. So come back for all those. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And